I don't want to call these as podcasts. It's mostly like exploring and figuring it out. How would you
Yeah.
like to use this platform? Let's say we build this platform, kind of.
Actually, I mean, I had an idea actually. First of all, uh, imagine like an AI that basically takes in as input like all these small little voice messages, right? Uh, Between us, for example, and then resembles this to actual like content in one like bigger piece. Like a conversion. It basically takes all these inputs and then it generates let's say a conversation between us, right? Like with that input.
In what, like a video format or like an audio conversation?
Yeah, like video forward.
So like
I
what do
mean,
you say?
audio is
Avatar,
of course
right?
easier, but huh?
An AI avatar, right?
Yeah.
So AI avatar being fed the audio notes, and then it's like we are having a conversation.
Yeah.
Can you do it?
That would be interesting.
Can you do it?
Can I? At this point, no. But I mean, that's what I'm. It's. I think. I mean, it's pretty complex, most likely, right? Right now, I'm looking into the heart of everything when it comes to AI, which is prompting. Bro, it's super. Like, you have. There's a lot of science behind prompting. Did you know that? Like
That's
the way you have to build it.
I mean prompt engineering. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah. Prompt engineering. Yeah.
I heard about it. I don't know. I don't know specifics.
There are a lot of things to take care of, and there's like a lot of science that has been done. Like if you add this, like how much is accuracy, increasing, and if you add everything, like you can increase by 300%.
Accuracy.
Yeah,
Okay, so whatever
as
you
in
want
like
it
the
to spit
role,
out,
huh?
like whatever you want this to spit out, and that's what it's gonna come out as.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not exactly sure like how they tested it, but I'm sure they tested it on some data where they have, where they know, okay, this is like this is how the output should be, in terms of like truth and certain, let's say, parameters, how the model predicts it. I guess I guess that's how they test it, right? That's how I would test it. They have like
Got it.
certain certain metrics.
I mean, like that's a good idea. Like with the content AI, with the content side, making chat conversations and building it to an actual conversation. Like in the content side, AI can be really powerful if you can somehow create a. I had this idea with someone. You remember the guy from the first Launchpad group, like the agency Launchpad, the guy from the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was more into coding, right? He wanted to have a conversation with me, and he wanted to discontinue SMMA. He was more into coding. The Indian guy, like Indian origin guy from Arizona, I guess. So, sorry, Colorado. So he was like, you know what? If you have any ideas about AI, I would like to work with you on that moving forward. And that's when I actually shared with him, like, if there is a way to create short form content and not just random pieces, but actual, like whatever I think, like how I want the content pieces to be cut, the direction that I usually give, that from here to here you cut this part, and make sure that's uniquely a specific branding is input given, and that's what it uses to create that part, and then clips are formed in like minutes. If there is something of that sort in the content side, that will save like tons of human resource management time and overhead expenses.
So I mean, what is like? I'm sure you have researched this, right? Maybe tested something out. I'm not sure. Like, what is from your point of view missing in whatever you have tested out and seen, in terms of like creating these reels AI based from one like long form video?
So I have tested like 2 to 3 options, right? And mostly what happens is it says that hey, you will repurpose videos. We'll help you repurpose it. So one-click repurpose. There's something called repurpose.io as well. And I tested this like quite some time. It has been quite some time that I tested it. About like 1 year back, right? I'm not sure the recent changes, but in that, what happens is you enter the full, like let's say, an 1 hour video, right? And then it will randomly select 30 seconds, 60 second
Ah,
clips,
gotcha.
and it will not
Uh-huh.
align the video. The branding is not going to be on point. The editing is not on point. The cuts are jump cuts, so there's not much of a focus on the audience perspective and making sure it's like contextual. So context is missing.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a good thing to look into. Yeah, hundred
If we can build
percent.
something like that, I mean, like, see, not just for us, but we can use this like as a product to maximize, in a large scale market as well.
I mean, see, from just to kind of, I have to go back here, just to give you some, clarity on like what I'm using my time on basically now. Is there's a lot. I'm following Liam Motley basically, right? Great guy, really great guy. You know him,
What is the name again?
Liam Otley.
Liam Otley. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
the
the guy
AI
who
agency guy.
the AI agency guy, Morningside, to 4 million in 2 years. That's respectable, right?
Yeah.
So he has a really good school community, free, and I'm sure he also has like a paid one. I'm not entirely sure, but also like even in the free community, there's a lot of good resources that I'm going through right now. And the first purpose is like learning, right? So I need to first look into like there are five. I mean, that's how he grouped it, right? So there are five main themes, let's say, that you can get into with AI, right? Like voice, text-based, automations, and two others, right? So right now, I'm basically I have to find out, okay, which of these am I going into, right? So first of all, I have to look into all of them. I'll probably give myself like a week, 3 to 7 days for all of these, right? Individually, looking into them, look at like deeply, and then I will have to decide like, okay, which one am I going with? What he recommends is like going general first, like broad, as in not niche down, because like the only reason to niche down is if you have industry specific knowledge and you have already like access to people within a niche, right? Which you could argue that I could have that with the mortgage industry.
I mean, we have that, right, as a big database. And
Yeah. So I'll have to see like how much I can um, leverage that. I guess it would make sense, right?
yeah,
The,
I
the
mean,
question is like at which point am I gonna go into that? But first, I need to really just learn a lot, like about all these five different themes, and then see. Okay, I agree. Like content, if we like if we look into this specific industry, of course there are many industries, but this specifically, especially with what you have in mind, it would definitely make sense to niche down on like content based AI, right? So that's one angle.
there's one angle that I would like potentially, like, if I would have chosen like one AI that would make the biggest difference, it would be content, because that gives you branding, trust, that gives you scale in lead gen without paying anything else. You just have to create one long form authentic video, let's say like a conversation like the one that we are having right now, export it, and then spit it, or input into the system, and then it will direct edit, like it's like the entire creative team that you have in one AI, and it's a couple of agents and system overall that chops it up, gives you the output, and then you can just have someone to upload in different platforms.
Yeah, yeah.
Even that can be automated.
Yeah, I mean, most can be automated.
Can I point out two things if it doesn't hamper the train of thought? It's two things that comes to my mind, right? The number one, first part is like, when it comes to like the AI thing, like this AI is the new SMMA, you know, this is the
Yeah.
new SMMA. So what I think is that there is a gap that I recently realized, not just at the conversations that we have usually, um, and the gap is mostly like the connection with the work. Like people are just chasing. Usually newbies are chasing. We were in that race as well a couple of years back. That we are not aware of most of the things that we personally would like to do and follow, and then everything else that we have learned, like the cold calling, the sales skills, and everything else, that's like a bonus, right? But what I believe is that if the core is the fundamentals are not cracked down, it's not clear enough, that we don't realize that, okay, what is the source of this for me. For you, the source is going to be different. For me, the source is going to be different. If we don't find that, and then on top of it you can build with AI, I can build with sales marketing, and then we can connect that, that's going to be much more powerful because there is a core, right? Right now it's
Yep.
just the arts crust that we're just talking about the crust side. There's no core in it, right? So if just chasing AI, my point of view is just the AI part and trying to find a fit to use it, I don't think that's for everyone. I think the first step is missing, and it's no one is talking about that.
I mean, yeah, of course, if you can, if you can find a, sorry, if you can find like a deeper, um, let's say, reason or context for yourself, right, within your life, within like your values and like what kind of change you like to see in the world and stuff, right? Then, of course, it's only beneficial, right? It's of course, I mean, that takes work to find that, which is most people don't do it, right? And also, it's like you have to commit to yourself, kind of, instead of like all the time, like you get so much input from the outer world, right? YouTube, other platforms, your friends, colleagues, whatever it is. And they, like everyone goes with the trends, and yeah. So that's why it's kind of hard to start with a root, I guess. At least that's how it was for me, right? And still is to some degree.
What do you think? Like this conversation that we're having. Do you really feel that this is absolutely authentic you right now, or do you feel like because we have had like a pre-frame of, okay, what, let's try to find ways to record and document this, us having a conversation. The
No,
thing
I'm
that you
not.
mentioned, that it feels pushed into something. Do you feel that way right now, or is it more like?
No, I don't. I mean, good point. It's more like, I guess I don't, how to say.
We're a bit serious, right? We are having a serious conversation. We usually don't have these serious conversations.
I mean, that's fine. It's just I don't trust myself as much, when it comes to spontaneity, I guess. Right?
I mean, one thing I noticed, like when you shared those, 3, 4 of voice notes with me, I noticed something specifics that gave me, I got a, light chuckle. Uh,
Okay.
and you were mentioning the word intuition these days a bit more than you used to, and that's a positive
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Why am I using it a bit more? I think I mean, it's many factors, right? I have also started, I mean, I have listened to more like podcasts, which is not like business podcasts, but like live podcasts, right? So there was one, for example, where there was a guy in a wheelchair, right? He was talking about how it is to live in a wheelchair. And I mean, he was like how to say, like really happy, like living a really happy life, right? And it just happened like out of nowhere. There was an accident, right? Surfing accident. And I mean, yeah, the way he talks is just like you see, like every day something can happen. So no matter what, how much you plan, like how much you try to be in control of things and stuff, like you cannot, right? So you kind of have to go with in like intuition many times, right?
And how recent is that? Like, because when I remember when you used to like 2023 when we started having chats, when we had working together and things of that sort, projects and stuff, conversations. You are like very strict on the other side, very very hard on that numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I don't like it. I don't believe it. You know, I mean, you got to prove. And you used to ask me questions, and I was on the far left as well, this side as well. It was way too intuitive. And now kind of like we see a mixture of you trying to be this is you trying to be more coming towards this side and me trying to coming more in the numbers side, which I don't think I'm a bit far more further than you are into this. So is it like a recent thing, or do you feel like it's more like the journey that we have had in the last 8 months? Did that specifically, what points did you feel that, okay, what, this can be, I might be wrong, there might be something that's more out there I need to
That's a good question. That's how you always start, when you don't know the answer immediately, you just say,
that's a good
"That's a
question.
good question."
That's the time you buy, right? Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, yeah. But I have
Pushing
to.
questions, right?
I mean, I would have to say it 10 times, but anyways, um, no, it is a good question because there are many factors into it, right? It's like, as you say, it's a long journey with many ups and downs.
Shattering expectations. Every month.
I mean, I guess the most recent change as well, like, where we thought, okay, let's go with let's go with a lead magnet for emails, right? To attract more people for the ad offer, Facebook ad offer, and then we kind of find out, okay, that's not really. It doesn't feel right, like anymore, like as much, like it feels like, as you say, there's something else missing in the industry, and just it's kind of like surface level, and not like fully benefiting them, right? So that's intuition from your side, right?
Yeah.
So
It's not intuition entirely.
not
I'll tell you
entirely,
this.
but
This is data, like the thing that you trust more. This is data from these conversations. But then what would be a better fit is also from a data from my own experience. So this part is not about intuition, actually.
I mean, I guess, okay, maybe it's more like, how to say, like the time frame of things. I'm I don't always, like see like the logical reason for for what to do in which time frame. Let's say, like, let's wait with the sending the emails. Let's wait with calling the no-shows, and of course, it can be that there is a plan, and it's just not available to me. But the way I interpret it is more like, okay, there is a plan, but also as the plan is changing with other information, basically other data points coming in, that's where, okay, intuition has to kind of take over, which
Understood.
which I see. Okay, that's that's your basically you did that, or you do that, which I had to learn to accept and see the value in, right?
Did you find like any situation when I said like, okay, this is gonna happen, let's do it this way, and then it worked out fine, or was it always like, okay, 90% time it doesn't work, and then 10%, okay, it worked pretty good? What is, because I cannot see that side of me, right? I can only take the calls, and then I cannot see the other side.
Wait, can you rephrase the question?
That's a tough thing to ask. You know it, right? Very good with that.
What do you
So
mean?
yeah, what do you mean? So usually, I take calls based on intuition. Of course, based on my personal data, and then I know that, okay, this feels right for me now, and it's very difficult for anyone to give me reasons to get out of it, because I trust that part. But over the last 1 year or so, I've taken a lot of calls intuitively, and right, how I take calls. I'm just taking the call and then I'm going all in, right? I don't even
Yeah.
think about anything else. Just
Yeah.
taking call and then going and then failing and then figuring it out. That's me. So, how many times did you feel like, small things, intuitively decision taken, that backfired? And how, what percent of times it you could say, okay, you know what, this was a good call, and which was the effect, what is the effect of it as an outcome? Did the 90% or 70% that didn't work negatively affect in higher intensity, or the one that worked, was that in higher intensity?
That's oof, that's a big question.
This is a practice.
Are you talking like within the calls? Like actual like the content of the calls?
No, I'm
You
talking
say
like
calls?
overall, like we working together in the last, everything, like A to Z.
Okay, like every. I mean, the answer is definitely yes. I saw a lot of things working out intuitively and also not working out. If you ask me to point at them or give a percentage, I cannot do that.
You're the numbers guy. You should do it.
Yeah, but
Like one thing I can count on is like, okay, we have a problem. Okay, Jan, do you have tracked data? Yes, I have it. That's funny, Anis.
yeah, but I mean that's true. But I don't have track data on like all of our conversations, right? Um, hmm. It is a really good question.
Kudos to me, right?
I mean, do you have any idea yourself? Like, what do you think?
No,
Is
I
it like,
it's weird that I don't even think about that. When my decision making is, I know that I'm, more 99% times I expect me to be wrong 99% of the times. That 1% should change the entire game. That's how I decide, right? And I think in my point of view, like decision making is more like accountability rather than being right or wrong. Because me, like it's I'm not sure who where I heard it, but it's more like I'm at the hull of the ship, the front, and we're going into deep waters. No one knows where we are going. So the only person who can say, "Hey, let's go. It's all right. Let's go." It's me. So
yeah,
it's
that's definitely
normal to
true.
be wrong. Uh,
Yeah.
just don't die. That's it.
I mean, I feel like you go a lot with intuition, but I can't really put any numbers on it. I could pull them out of, thin air, but doesn't make sense. But definitely you go a lot with intuition,
I
which
think
is not,
we haven't tracked that yet. We haven't,
yeah,
like, we did not put focus on that. Like, okay, this call, that call, what happened, what didn't happen. I think that's a good point, right? We should do that.
we should do that, yes.
Yeah, let's do that actually. That's a good
I
point.
told you, every day, every call should be tracked, right?
No, not every call, like, not every call like call, but it's more like decisions. Every single pivot, we track it. Why?
Also that, yeah.
Yeah, why did we change? What is the decision behind it?
Yep.
And
That's exactly what I wanted to do with, I told Manish, right? Like with the ad side, like every single change has to be tracked. Like when is it, when do we change it? Why do we change it? What is the expected outcome of it? And then like a week later, okay, like what is the outcome, actual outcome, and what is the learning, right? So I mean that would be the ideal thing to do on the ad side, right?
Yeah, but that's a good point. Like that's the value aspect that you can add possibly, right? But one thing that I would like to improve on your side is like the presentation of it, bro. Your presentation is like I need to be a computer to read it.
Okay.
So difficult for me. You have no idea.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I ask you about like, okay, share what's the ads doing, and you're like, okay, here is the document. I'm like, what is this? What is this?
That is true. I will. I mean, that's what I can use AI for as well, right? Like, basically, uh, like do the presentation for me, right? Like, I mean, formatted things for me. So that's also something. I'm not sure, like, if we talk about like the mortgage industry, if I mean, I guess you have a better understanding of that. Like, are people very like organized, or more like, more like me in terms of data?
In terms of,
In terms of data,
I mean, you're pretty organized, right? I mean, you're more organized than me.
no, okay, not organized. Yes. How to say? I guess I mean presentation, right? Like, okay, so if you say I'm organized, right, but you also say that the presentation is not like can be improved, right? So how is like what exactly do you mean then?
The difference?
Yeah,
Yeah. So one,
I guess it's a way of organization, right? Like
it's
there
not
are
about,
different
it
styles
doesn't,
of organization.
no, that doesn't come under organizing. It comes under communication. What I'm saying is the lack of communicating what you understand to someone else. Like if you get into my mind, if I draw out everything the way I see it, you'll be dead, bro. Like, it's stacked in so many different parts. I get overwhelmed. Like I'm not able to sleep some days because I'm too much overwhelmed with the information that comes to my mind, the ideation process. But it's like a scrambled, page. It's everything is scrambled. That's me. So it's super difficult, of course, not organized, but if I give you that, that's my point of view of how I see it. But if you will not be able to read it, so it has to be readable to the other person. That's empathy, right? Empathizing the other person and looking from their point of view and then presenting it that way. That comes under communication. So when I say organize, you are organized pretty well, as in like you track everything down, you're on time, you're punctual, and this and that. That's organized. Now your communication part may be improved. For me, my communication is really good, but my organizing is done. In this life, I don't think there's much of a chance in this life. Next life, I'll try. That's me.
Gotcha.
Understand? That's what I'm
Okay.
talking about. So these people in this industry, um, they're organized, not as much as you are. Better than me, much better than me, and their communication is much better than you.
Yeah.
They're in somewhere in the middle. So you and me are the extremes of that industry.
Okay.
That's a good thing. Maybe
I mean, I feel you put me on the far left of the side.
it's not left and right. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
Other side.
No, I mean, I get the point. Where do I want to go? Yeah. So.
This conversation it has to be more like the way we build this up right now. We just randomly. You see, like we are 29 or 32 minutes into it. We didn't even start properly
Well, it depends. Why did we not start properly?
because we got something to talk about, and then it kept on.
What is it? What is properly? I mean,
What is properly like? Okay,
who's
what is this
deciding
about?
that?
What is this about? That's properly. What
Yeah,
is this?
well,
What are we doing here? Why are we doing it? And where are we going? Like, what can we see? The next step.
yeah. So okay, so you came up with like you want to read more books and talk about that, which I mean, it's not a bad thing. Uh, I'm I'm not sure if it's a good use of my time right now, to be honest.
Of
I
course.
mean, huh?
Of course. Now,
What do you
I'm
mean?
saying that,
Uh-huh.
this is abstract. Like, this is the abstract part of our lives. So the thing that I have in mind is, like I named it Versatile Projects, the Versatile Project. If you're okay with that, we can start with that name as the name of the show, kind of, we can,
Sure. Yeah.
the Versatile Project. It's a really cool name. And as I shared, like in 2017 or 18, I had that idea that, okay, you know what, I'll travel and meet new people, record that, and then that is my branding. So I'll just explore and grow up, and I explore myself, realize who am I, and find myself. In that process, I'll just make myself, documented in a channel. That's the versatile project. Could not do it because of limiting beliefs. And finally, now we're out of it. So now I would like to start this again. Now, what
Sure.
we can do it is like, anything and everything is a possibility. That's what the theme is going to be like. We can be anything in this call. You can bring up what you want to talk about. I can bring up what I want to talk about. And
Okay.
one topic, I would start, hey, Jan, like, what do you have, like, something interesting that in your life that you put time into, that you felt is productive for you, that gave you fulfillment, and tell me about it. And then I will try to learn about that. And I will share what I found fulfillment today. And for me, these two books have been fulfilling today. I started my day with this. These are like, the uh, two sides of the coin. This is more like life, personal, inward, and this is more like outward. With this, I can go outside and conquer, right? So self and external. This is I read both the books. I read one chapter of both of it, recorded one video today. So this is a topic for me too. I can bring up, and every single day or every other day we can put some time to work on things that we love at this moment, not specific at this moment, because it's a versatile project, right? We can be anything. We can do anything. We can bring
Okay.
on
Sure.
anyone. There's no
So, for
limitation.
example, if I like, I work on a small AI project or I come up with an idea or whatever, I can share that.
Yeah,
If I
we can
learn
we can
something.
yeah, you can be anyone here.
Okay. I mean, who I can be anyone. Okay.
You can be anyone here at any point of time. We can change anything. We can pivot anytime. We can do it anytime. We can be anything, and this is what the versatile project was always about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of the time frame frequency, like what, like how often do you think we should do that?
How often do you think you can be authentically doing it?
Uh,
I mean, let's start with this. What is how do you see yourself, like, if you spend 2 hours on something on a daily basis, right? Or even an hour on a daily basis. What do you feel like will give you, okay, you know what? Even if I don't have if I haven't achieved monetary, remember this term, freedom number. I'll get back into this. Monetary freedom, kind of freedom. Even if I haven't achieved it yet, but today, because I did work on this part, this project of mine, it gave me a sense of fulfillment that, okay, this day was well spent. What at this stage of your life, what is that? Think about it. What would you like to do? What would you love to? Like, that would give you, okay, you know what? Let me wake up. I would love to wake up because I get to do
I mean,
this.
to be honest, AI is pretty much that because I can see that it's like the paradigm shift, for the next 5-10 years,
I mean,
and
that's
it's like it's still an early thing. It's a technical thing. I know, okay, with my way of thinking and like my preferred way of just doing things, I can definitely you know, give a lot of value to, like, learn it and give it away, to people. So it feels like, okay, that suits my personality very well.
I mean, that seems like it, but you're not sure what your personality type actually is. Like, what is this is reverse engineered from like an opportunity point of view, right?
Hmm.
What I'm talking about, of course, we have opportunity point of view, like content side for me, content marketing, sales. That's like opportunity point of view. Humanized. That's a very good niche that as the AI keeps on growing, the human individual is gonna be a biggest gap. Like people will seek that. So just
Hopefully.
no, it will be the one. Trust me on this. Like that's always a trend. There is always a trend.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this will become more and more prevalent. So for me, okay, I can find that, and then of course on the side we can work on opportunities based on that. So yes, AI is the opportunity thing, but based on what? What is the foundation for you doing something that you find fulfillment in? Like what is that? What are you trying to achieve with AI apart from the money and opportunity outcome?
Well, now you're asking two things, right? Like you ask, what do I want to achieve? And you ask about character traits. So these are two different things, right?
It depends on how you see it. Like, there is no reason not to make $1 million while doing the things that you love.
Yeah, 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 of course.
Which is also in like the medium. Let's say you have to go from Spain to London, right? In Barcelona to London. You
Mm,
can go via car, you can go via bicycle, you can also
mm,
take a flight. So the AI can be a flight, content can be a car, things of that sort, right? Ads can be things like that. So going from point A to B, of course, that's the goal. You want an outcome, you choose flight, but why are you going to London? Like what is the point of it, if it makes sense? Like, do you know that what are you trying to get out of it as a fulfillment point of view, not just a monetary point of view?
That's the question I've been asking myself since 2000, for 6 years now, right? So,
I believe everyone asks that same question, but we don't have the answer to it, right? We don't sit down long enough to figure it out.
I mean, first you have to find out like what are you really like, as you mentioned, like what are you naturally like, good at? What is your talent, basically, right? For example, like, I'll give you an example. For the longest time, I thought it's mathematics, right? Since I was 14, I saw this book in a bookshelf somewhere, right? About like high school mathematics, and I got it, right? And then I spent like my entire summer holidays reading through it, and within like 3 months, I finished like basically 2 years of school content, right? Um, but then I went on to, whatever, I did math Olympiads and stuff, and I studied and this and that. But during the PhD, I figured out, okay, like looking back, right? Back then I could not see it. I don't think I actually have like a talent for mathematics. It's more like hard work, right? I put a lot of hard work into it.
What is that like? What do you think is like? What do you love about maths, like specific? Because I was listening to Robert Greene today.
Mm,
Of course, everyone has certain things that we can take on. So I was also looking for the same answers, and that's when I told you, right, bro, like I have always been the person who kind of like sits in one corner and then I'm observing everyone. Like that was me from like when I was 10 years old,
yeah.
right? I like to observe. I'm like, okay, looking at that person, why are they doing this? Hand movements, how they lie, everything, bro. I can read. When I was 18, 20, 21, okay, you know what? I kind of see through it. So that I thought that's a hobby. And then I used to write poetry. So that's words, communication. I used to write essays for like, long. I'll just keep writing, like words will keep flowing.
Mm,
These things are more like, we don't count that as, monetizable skills. Back then, it was not that. But right now, if you can look back, you can see, okay, you know what, observing people, intuition, and then reading personalities, finding flaws, or, reading through them and then communicating. These are two things, if you can look back on you can zoom out, basically, right? And then for you personally, if you look at maths, then how do you see, like, do you have any idea about why did I like maths? What aspect of it
Well, I liked,
love about it?
yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind is basically I was always like, going when, let's say, we had a trip like with a family. I always took my pen and pencil with me, right? And I always had like a couple of problems that I had in my mind that I was working on. And basically, you have this infinite world, literally infinite world, that you can, I guess, conquer, right? Where you don't need any other tool in principle. Like you just need a pen, paper. That's it, right? Of course, if you have books as well, if you have ChatGPT, whatever, then that is helpful and it makes it easier. But it's in principle, it's not needed, right? So you can just be at any place, anywhere, and you don't. The way I looked at it back then, which is not something positive, so that's why I kind of, but let's not judge it.
I know.
So the way I,
That's interesting.
uh-huh.
I mean, that was your versatile project.
I guess.
It sounds like that. You can be anything, anywhere. Like you can get into depths of numbers. That was the world that you kind of found.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not sure if it came from like a good place, because I basically, like, I got bullied a lot in school, right? So I basically, it was like uh, escaping into a world where I don't need anything else, right?
But I don't think
So
that's a
that's what.
negative thing.
No, it can be a positive thing, but it's. Uh, I mean, if it comes from is a place of avoiding something, then I don't think it's positive, right?
I mean, it depends. Like when you came out of it, let's say 24, 25, that's when you kind of stopped it, right? 10, 11 years into it.
Yeah.
At the end, how did it feel? Like, did it feel fulfilling for you? Okay, I'm glad that I took this step, or I was pushed into it, or is it like, okay, you know what, I wasted a lot of time?
If it's hard to say, right? Like, what is wasted time?
I mean, if you really think about it, though.
No, for real. I mean, what is wasted time? Like, it's all experience, right? Like,
No,
it's.
no. It's not about, like, the definition of wasted time. I'm talking about you as a person. How did it feel? For example, me. If I look back on my college days, I get traumatized because I was sitting. It was one of the worst colleges in India. I'll not take the name, but you know, it was literally me sitting 8 hours in a bench. I was not allowed
Mm,
to go outside. There was no
mm,
proper infrastructure. It's just sunny, like, very bright sun all day long, hot temperature. I'm sitting there. No one is studying anything. No one is teaching me anything with 60 more students. So my investment of time and money into this for 4 years, I look back on it. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I was pushed into this, yes, because I did not have any other option. But I kind of feel negative towards it. So it's not a positive thing that happened. But if I look back on the last 6 years, which also was not a positive yield for me, because I was trying to become like monetarily successful by the age of 21, right? Financial, making good amount.
mm.
I'm not even close to that. But the amount of fulfillment that I got from this journey out of it, sitting right now, I look back and the last 6 years is like heaven for me. I'm super glad.
Hmm.
It was also from a point of insecurity. I was pushed into it, kind of, because this is also an escape, right? And then but it doesn't
So,
feel
so you
negative.
regret like the past?
The
What you say?
university, yeah, the studies. I am not a. I don't like the syllabus study, like in confined studies.
Mm.
It was my, killing curiosity, like, step by step for a long period of time. I literally, when I was 18 years old, that's the only time I got to think, um, why? Why am I doing
Mm.
this? Why have we been into this?
I mean, it's a very deep question, right? If I regret it or not, because it feels like a different person. That's what I can say. Because that's what I this process of like getting rid of it, so to speak, and deciding like, okay, I'm not gonna continue on that path, right? That was accompanied by basically almost like a couple of months. I literally had like a burnout, kind of, right, where I could not. I took literally like 3 months off university or something. Um, and it was like a 1.5 year process of like, okay, when I felt it the first time, like it's not either, like I don't have the, like I said, I don't have the talent, and it's like, okay, if at this point I really want to go in this path, I need to work harder, right? I need to invest more hours into it. I need to make sure that I can focus better. But then at the same time, I had this personal transformation where I started, to go out and talk to girls, find out like more about communication, psychology, how do people think, away from me, right? I was always like focused on myself. And then I was like discovering, okay, there's a lot to be learned in understanding other people, right? And that also gave me like on a more understanding of myself, right? Which was a big motivator for myself to dive into this. And I saw that, okay, if I do this, which it was a basic need for me, then it's like it takes away focus for me to really go into the math, right?
Mm.
So I saw, okay, this focus is I don't have it, and I don't seem talented enough to still pull it off, right? So I mean, if I'm really honest with myself, and this like accepting that and basically moving on, that took like 1.5 years for me.
So
Right?
it's more or less like it's not even negative, it's not even positive. It's just a phase that you don't even consider much of a
Kinda.
impact. It's just a phase. You embrace it, you cherish it. It was good and not bad, but it's not no strong, high intense emotions attached to it.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, of course, you don't know if you stuff it down or whatever, but at this moment, it doesn't feel like I'm neither regretting it or it's just like, okay, you could say, you know, what if I spent these years instead actually like learning about psychology, communication earlier, getting more in touch with my intuition. Of course, I will be further now, right?
I mean, yeah.
But but also, um, like you either naturally get pulled to something,
Or you got
towards
pushed
something,
into it.
or you get pushed to it, right? Because you get too far off into another extreme, and you find out, okay, that's not where I belong. So it's like,
Okay, looking
okay, I
for.
cannot go further this way,
Yeah.
so I need to go this way,
Yeah.
right? And then you gradually kind of find, I guess, enjoyment or at least progress. For me, progress is a big thing, right? If I feel like progress, no matter what I do, that's what like motivates me, right?
Understood. That makes sense.
So yeah, I think that's how
That's
I
good. That's
look at
positive.
it.
I mean, yeah, it really gives a lot of context on, like, I don't think so. So for you, like, these conversations, I think if we really name it versatile project, it really needs to be something that we, it should not be a part of a work kind of thing. It should be more like, okay, you know what, hey, I'm like, let's catch up. Like, what do we have today? And
Yeah.
moving forward, this is my view of it. I want your point of view on it as well. I think what we can do is like, we can bring both of our individuality, right, into this. So my individuality, I want to explore via this, right? What exactly is coming through, and like with no limits, no judgment, no limits, and you can be. I think the theme can be you can be anything, anyone at any point, uh, with towards anywhere. That's the
Uh-huh.
directionless, like headless chicken or something, in business terms. So there's no limits to it, right? So you can bring forward something, but it has to be proactive from your side. Let's like you love doing something. Let's say you are working on a project. I'm
Mm,
working on a side project, and
mm,
every third day we hop on, and then we have this call. So
mm.
every 3 days we put one hour, both of us. We have something solid to talk about, and then we bring it here. That's number one. Moving forward, we can, if you want to have anyone as guest, like any topic that you find interesting, you find that person as a guest, I'll find someone as a guest, and then we will have like guests of various industries. Doesn't have to be like millionaires or like ultra popular people. Can be like more like normal people who are invested into one single topic that you find value in or I find value in, and then we can have a conversation along that lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you like networking, right? I like networking.
Yeah, I do.
That's my goal. Like we can make it like the place for a bit more freedom.
And it's by, I mean, and it's basically like like let's say a vehicle, if you want, to generate like authentic content on from different angles, kind of.
I mean, that's the outcome of it. But the core of it is like finding out like the because I really think that okay, everything else on the surface level, the NLP techniques for sales, the Daniel Priestley framework for lead gen and then demand generation, or say like the cold calling aspects and closing deals and stuff like that. That's everything on the surface level. Your AI and everything is on surface level. But if we can really find, okay, you know what, let's explore these things and we gather knowledge around those things in depth and
So it's more like
personal project kind of thing.
yeah, like a personal project. We basically put out clarity, and by speaking it out, like we get another perspective as well, and basically encourage like creativity and like different uh, way of thinking, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it should not have the point of it. It will lose the whole point if we try to force it towards a specific direction.
Yeah,
Understood?
got you.
It's like a spontaneous thing that we keep it going so that it can grow it to itself. Like we can look back and see, okay, you know what? Okay, that's interesting because we had no idea where this is going, but we were just focused on today. Like instead of focusing on the past or the future, we can just focus on today and what are we talking today? And eventually in a year's time, we can have a look back and you know what? Okay, bro, like we either evolved a lot or it was a point, it's weird. That's the point. But it's something.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because one of the podcasts I really enjoy, a German one. It's just pure how to say entertainment, right? Which is also good sometimes. Like when you go to sleep, it's I definitely don't want to hear about business. It's like it has to be
Yeah, it has to
just
be.
just entertain me, right?
Yeah, nothing business, no numbers,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and they actually started out exactly with this thought. Like it's just yeah, we enjoy doing this, and let's meet once a week and talk, blah blah blah. And they turned out to become Germany's top podcast.
Yeah.
Even Europe, like Europe's being one of you. I think I think actually number one in Europe.
That's good. I mean, the art of nothing is
Blended
very
meat.
powerful.
That's what it's called. Like, I mean, kind of
What is it
mixed
called?
meat, something like that. Mixed meat.
Mixed meat. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, see, the thing is that I think when we push, we try to push something towards an outcome, we avoid all
I
the.
was actually literally thinking that. It's yeah, interesting.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
read that. I'm joking. I did not read it. When we try to push it towards a specific outcome, the other opportunities and possibilities gets, diluted.
Yeah.
There's a, I think not a religious leader, but a spiritual leader, and he was invited in a meeting, like a conference, and a YouTuber was interviewing him.
Mm.
By the end of it, he's she was like, I thank you for your time, it was really a nice conversation, uh, thank you. And he was like, okay, it was really nice talking to you, may none of your wishes come true. And she was like, what?
What?
None of your wishes come true. And he's like, yeah, because you don't even know what is possible for you. So if you keep wishing and we stuck to what you want, that might not be even close to what you're capable of. So let none of your wishes come true so that you can explore and get to the other end of it that the universe wants for you. Like, the opportunities that actually can be attracted if you just let go and do the things that you can spontaneously, like, what do you feel like doing today, and then give all of it, let it happen.
Yeah, I mean that's the point we want to get to, right?
Yeah, I don't want to push it to anything, so this can be our safe space to explore, and everything else.
See, that's what I always said. Like the way I look at it. Sorry if I interrupt. It's like you get a specific amount. For me, again, it's like 50 to 100,000, right? And then from there, you'd always say, like you have to take risks and stuff, which I agree. But there was a point, like for a long time, and still, I'm more like I need to be safe, right? Cannot take this risk. How I'm seeing it is, after you get to that point where you have like your basic security, that's where you can go like take 30% of the money coming in and just risk it. Like just I feel like doing this, I do it. I don't care about ROI, I don't care about this and that, I just do it because it feels right.
That's
Right?
what the freedom number is called. I don't think you need, like, this is the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first chapter. This is the $1 million weekend, right? And it says it's super weird that we all think that we need 100K, 50K, 120K to kind of start doing something.
Uh-huh.
What you actually need is the skills that gives you the freedom number every month. So the freedom
Yeah.
number is your rent, food, basic travel, basic expense, learning, like investment in the own self, and some other investments, a bit of savings, and some charity work. And that doesn't always, most of the times, it doesn't come more than $3,000 a month, like 5,000
Yeah, yeah.
max.
Yeah.
So
After
even,
taxes.
yeah, after taxes, 3K, right? Let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you learn the skills to consistently make 3K, you don't have to make 100K upfront. You can just start making 3K today. And once you hit it, you start putting like 2 hours, 3 hours on the side, because now I have the skills. For example, for me, I know that if I start today, in 10 days, I will make money. And I will make my freedom number in 10 days. I know for sure. Right? When you have that feeling, you don't wait for the 100K to come in. You just hit the number and then you are free. Because next month again, you will do the same.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you have way less stress on your mind if you don't have this freedom number for 1 month, but for 6 months, right?
Yeah,
Okay, for
but
6 months you can anything can happen, anything, and you are safe, right?
of course, but you don't have to wait for that long to even start.
No, no, of course you start before, and you should. Uh, no, I mean starting. Of course, you do that earlier. It's a question of okay, how much can you get into the mindset of I'm already there, right?
No, of
Like in
course.
the mindset of okay, I'm the person who has 50,000 on my bank account. I don't have to
That's for
stress,
sure.
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, that's absolutely true. Like, if I have that, then I actually thought about this today, that I will go all on this project, and then I'll make sure that I'll give some time to this project, like personal project, a bit more, and then I'll use the everything else that we have learned and take some time out of that, and then find something that actually is super meaningful and is a right fit for some weird niche that just becomes a niche for me. And then we can really find a lot of fulfillment there.
For sure. One question I have is, how would you invite someone to this? Because, as you say, there's no, and I agree, right? I mean, we should not like label it or something, or like give a purpose to it or whatever. So, how would you sell it to like? Because it's the top. What it's like. How would you
What
tell
is this?
someone? Okay, hey, this is what is it worth? Like 1 hour of your time? Come on and have a chat.
What is this, right? Or what is this about, right?
Yeah.
This is about this topic on this call. There's two ways to sell it, right? It doesn't need to be sold. There's two ways to attract people. First of all, because once we have like 20, 50, 100 episodes of this, again, the first chapter says law of 100. So we would target to have 100 of these calls. So once you have 100 done, by then you will attract enough people for this specific type that we can automatically say, hey, if you want to have a conversation with us, you can just be a guest on this if you have something significant to talk about, right? Then we can automatically attract people like ourselves to hop on these calls, and without the specific theme on a long-term basis, but more on a specific episode basis. This is the topic for this episode. Second is when you reach out to a guest kind of, then you can say, hey, I saw your book, I saw your article, or I saw your posts, I like this, we have a topic, we are exploring, we don't try to control the outcome, but this is more like exploring new terrains, and I find this very interesting. We would love to have a conversation with you. And again, then the sales skills come in, follow-ups, have 100 of these people, 10 or law of average.
Okay.
And then once you have 10 of these people, then you have a theme kind of, and then you get more people in easily. But again, it should not
Again,
be
it's not the
planned.
purpose, right?
Yeah,
It's
this
just
is not.
should just be like a,
Let it
because now you
happen.
turn it into like a business, right? So,
Yeah, that's what we have to try to, don't make it a business.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the versatile
Okay,
project.
so it's more like if I happen to see something
Bring them
that
on.
seems interesting,
Yeah.
and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be interesting for you, I guess, or what? Like even if
No, no,
just
no. No, I mean, like, I would try to, like, this is more like curiosity. Are you curious about learning more things?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
am too. I don't care. I'll ask you, bro, what the fuck is this? You will tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I see. So just come with as it from a point of, whenever I see something I'm curious about, just like basically reach out and say, hey, whatever. Like, would you like to have a chat about this? Whatever.
I would say this. Let's do it this way. So when you find something interesting, write it down, make a video about it so that you have a reaffirmation for yourself. Make a video. Don't care about audience. Just upload it. So it's not lost. Every 3 days we have this call for now. Every third day. So in those 3 days, or whenever you feel like, okay, we are stacked up for topics, I will do whatever I will do. Read it down, and write it down, and record and upload. When we have like 4 or 5 things to talk about, then we have an episode. Then we bring all these together, and then we will talk about this.
Okay.
Let's see. I have no idea.
Yeah, we will see.
Let's
We'll
see.
see.
Yeah,
Good.
that's it.
Yeah. So,
Let's end it abruptly. So yeah, okay, cut.
no, I mean, how was it?
What?
How was it?
It was good. It was first. That's the best part. We decide something and we execute within like in a very small time difference. One is infinity.
Well, you learn to do that, right? Because time is not infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep words.
Deepest. I mean, see, that's a good ending, right?
Yeah, that's a good
I have to
ending.
go
Let's
anyways.
let's let's end it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers,
All
man.
right. Cheers, man.